An NBA legend makes a bold proclamation against the New York Knicks, and I'm here to break it all down. All that and much more on the Knicks Digest. What's up, guys? It's your boy Dariel from Knicks Digest. And last night on TNT, Shaquille O'Neal, the legend himself, Superman himself, said that Orlando will win the series against the New York Knicks. Now, the quote right here, it just says that the Orlando Magic will win the series. But if you actually watch the video, Shaq actually says that the Orlando Magic will sweep the New York Knicks. Let me repeat that one more time. Shaq said the Orlando Magic will sweep the New York Knicks in the first round of the playoffs. Now, I feel like that's definitely a bold take, but if I take a step back and I take a look at the standings and if I take a look at the people that are healthy, the players that are available, is it far-fetched to say that the Orlando Magic will sweep the New York Knicks if we see them in the first round of the playoffs? Me, personally, absolutely not, and I will tell you why in a second. But let's take a look at the standings right now. And yes, right now, the Orlando Magic, they are the 4th seed, while us, the New York Knicks, we are the 5th seed. So yes, of course, if the playoffs started today, we are going to see the Orlando Magic in the first round of the playoffs. Now, there's a bunch of numbers that I can get into. I could get into Paolo Banchero's numbers against the New York Knicks. I could get into the Orlando Magic record against the New York Knicks. But first and foremost, of course, we got to talk about that boy, Jalen Brunson, Mr. Nick himself. So for the season, Jalen Brunson averaging 27.8 points, 3.6 rebounds, 6.6 assists, shooting 47.5% from the field, 39.7, which is 40% from three, converting 84% of his free throws. Listen, man, Jalen Brunson is Mr. Nick. He's going to put that cape on. And now this is where I want to get into the actual matchup against the Orlando Magic. So in a few videos ago, Chris and I, we actually talked about how we might eventually see how all roads are pointing towards us going against the Orlando Magic in the first round. As of today, Julius Randle is still out. Julius Randle, we still don't know exactly how much time he's going to need for that separated shoulder. OG Anobi is still out. We don't know exactly when OG Anobi is coming back with that inflamed elbow. Mitchell Robinson, who did come back last week, and his first game was, I believe, against the San Antonio Spurs, I believe, when Jalen Brunson dropped that 60 ball in a losing effort, unfortunately. But of course, in that game, Mitchell Robinson tweaked his ankle. He looked super horrible from a physical standpoint. Stamina, conditioning, he looked okay. But as far as physically, as soon as he tweaked that ankle, you can tell that he was laboring so hard up and down the court. And that begs to bring up the question of like, okay, how healthy of a Mitchell Robinson are we gonna get going into the playoffs? And I'm not sure if it was the ankle that he had surgery on that he tweaked, but I don't know, man. I just don't like what I saw. Mitchell Robinson, I know it was only a one-time thing. Obviously, he's not gonna tweak his ankle every game. But if there's a little bit of a setback already and he just came back, I honestly don't know what to say. I don't know how we're gonna depend on Mitchell Robinson. And then we gotta take into account the conditioning, the stamina, the feeling, the touch, everything's gonna take time in order for him to get acclimated back into the offense and into the game. But going back to Shaq's statement, as far as the Orlando Magic sweeping the New York Knicks in the first round, that's an absolute joke. There is no chance that the Orlando Magic will sweep the New York Knicks in the first round. Now, my heart is saying Knicks in 7. But please do not kill me in the comments, guys. Do not kill me in the comments. But my mind is saying Orlando might take this in 7, man. And I'm a little worried. Again, like I just said, we don't have the bodies available to us. Jalen Brunson is having to put a Herculean effort every single night. Josh Hart is playing 45 minutes a game. Deuce McBride is playing 40 minutes a game. Bogey is not looking good, even though last night against the Miami Heat, he actually showed signs of life. I believe he ended the game with 16 points, but most of those points came in the first half. He just looked better, which is great. Alec Burks still is showing no signs of life. The players that we traded for, I don't even know if they're going to be part of the playoff rotation. There's just a lot of questions going into the first round of the playoffs. Again, like I said, Julius Randle more than likely is not going to be available. OG Anobi is more than likely not going to be available. And I believe it was last week when Josh Hart had that quote saying that they're pretty much expecting to go with the team that they have right now. and they're not really expecting Julius Randle or OG Anobi to be available in the playoffs. Now, for someone, obviously Josh Hart is not on the medical staff, but if Josh Hart is saying it and as a teammate of theirs, seeing them every day, because I'm sure Julius Randle and OG Anobi are in the practice facilities and they're at the games, obviously. So Josh Hart has these conversations with them on the bench in between practice at shoot-around. So for Josh Hart to say something like that to the public, it does not bode well for us at all. Since we don't have the main players available to us, then what does that look like for the Orlando Magic going up against us? Well, this season, the Orlando Magic were 3-1 against us. Paolo Banchero, who I've been saying time and time again, who is going to be an absolute problem. He made the All-Star game in his second season. Against the Knicks this season, he is averaging 27 points, 7.8 rebounds, and 3.5 assists. And I must bring up the fact that it's more than likely that we're not going to have OG and Anobi for the playoffs. OG Anobi around the NBA, his reputation was 100% a defensive stopper. You would put OG Anobi against the best player on the opposing team. You would ask OG Anobi not to stop them, but to slow them down. And then when we got OG Anobi and we saw that what he was able to provide the team, us Knicks fans, we did know that OG was a respectable defensive player, but what we did not know was what he was going to offer us on the offensive end, especially that corner three. OG Anobi is going to be sorely missed, and if we don't have him to stick him on Paolo Banchero, to stick him on Franz Wagner, to stick him on Jalen Suggs, like the Orlando Magic, they're young, athletic, they like to get up and down the court. The one thing that they don't have going for them is experience. You can also look at that as a positive. Since they don't have the experience, they literally have nothing to look forward to. They're basically playing super free. Nobody has a lot of expectations on them, and they're playing freely. They're playing as if they win, it's going to be a really big success, but if they lose in the first round, nobody's going to really make a big fuss about it. So when you're in that type of position as a team, as a player, that just completely frees you up to play super more aggressively, to just get into the other team as much as you can. Now, we know Jalen Brunson is absolutely going to show up in the playoffs, but the question is, how is Jalen Brunson going to look by game 3, by game 4? Because like I said earlier in the video, Coach Tibbs, one of the knocks that he has on him is that he wears his teams out. He's playing his players 48 minutes on a random Tuesday night towards the end of the season when the team is already clinched in the playoffs. Now, the Knicks aren't specifically clinched. They haven't clinched their playoff spot, but there's about a 90% chance that they're going to make the playoffs. But on the other hand, I can also make the argument that Coach Tibbs is riding his players because they need these wins. They need the wins in order to solidify their spot in the playoffs. So on that hand, I could totally understand where Coach Tibbs is coming from. But on the other hand, you can also say that like by playing Jalen Brunson, Deuce McBride, Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, 40 minutes and up, by the time they get to the playoffs, they're going to be worn out. And then Jalen Brunson is going to have the responsibility not solely, but he's going to have a majority of the responsibility of the scoring on his shoulders. He does have a Dante DiVincenzo to rely on. Josh Hart, even though he's not known for his offensive prowess, from the last, month and a half, 2 months, we've been seeing the type of player that Josh Hart is. He can offer you something on the offensive end, but he's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. He's been playing as if he's like a prime Jason Kidd, getting triple doubles night in, night out. But other than those 3 players, Dante, Josh, and Jalen, who are you depending on? I said that Alec Burks, I said that Bogdanovic, they're not really showing signs of life. Deuce McBride, who has been playing really well as of late, pretty much like the last, month, 2 months. He's really impressed me, and Chris and I, we've talked about it in numerous videos. But again, the playoffs are a different animal. The intensity revs up, the physicality, everything revs up. The opposing team, they're not scouting night in, night out for different teams. Now, since you're in the playoffs, the scouting team on the opposing team, they're going to be solely focused in on the New York Knicks. And they're going to be focusing on them for days on end. They're going to be focusing on Deuce McBride, how many dribbles he likes to take to the right before he pulls up, how many dribbles does he like to take to get into the paint to score a layup, what's his setup look like in order to shoot a 3, how does he look like coming off a DHO. The scouting report in the playoffs is intensified, and we don't know if Deuce is going to be able to handle it. I personally think that Deuce is definitely going to rise up to the occasion. I definitely think that he won't play as if he's not trying to make a mistake. But I don't know if he's going to be able to convert on the opportunities that he's given. Hopefully he proves me wrong, and hopefully Deuce can really come up big, because with the amount of bodies that we have available to us, Julius Randle on OG and Anobi, Mitchell Robinson, we don't really know what he's going to look like till the beginning of the playoffs. We need more than those 3 players to depend on in order to get past the first round. The Orlando Magic is not going to be an easy out, and we have another week and a half, another week until the end of the season. So the Knicks could move up towards the 3 spot, or the Orlando Magic could fall out of the 4 and 5th spot. But it's looking like all roads are heading towards the Knicks and Orlando Magic in the first round. And I really think that first round is going to go 7. And I got the Knicks going in 7, but I would not be surprised if the Orlando Magic take it in 7, or if the Orlando Magic win maybe in 6 games. But going back to Shaq's statement in the beginning of the video, Orlando Magic sweeping the New York Knicks in the first round, that's an absolute joke. Sometimes the people on the TNT crew, last night it was Tuesday, so it was Jamal Crawford, Candace Parker, and Adam Lefko. So I don't know. I feel like the Tuesday nights are kind of like more relaxed, but the Thursday night crew, obviously Kenny, Chuck, and Ernie, when Shaq is a part of that crew, sometimes they have these takes that are completely wild, and I'm a little disappointed in them because they're looked at as more like the elder statesman of like NBA media. Shouldn't you be coming out with more responsible takes? But whatever, that might be a video for another time. But that's it for today's video, guys. I want to say thank you for checking it out. And as we inch closer to the end of the season, it's looking like the New York Knicks are going to go up against the Orlando Magic in the first round. Leave it in the comments. Let me know what you guys think of the Knicks matchup against the Orlando Magic. Do you like us in the first round getting past the Orlando Magic? In how many games? Also, leave it in the comments and let me know what you guys think about Shaq's blasphemy of a statement saying that the Orlando Magic will sweep us in the first round. But that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you for checking it out. And until the next time, you guys always know the drill. You guys always know the vibes. Taj Gibson for president. Jalen Brunson for all the MVPs. Deuce is loose for co-MVP. And I'm out. Peace.